Hey everybody, this is Sage Valentine, aka Etherblade, and this is my review of Hannibal, Season 2, Episode 7, Yakimono. Yakimono, yeah. The definition of yakimono is food rapidly grilled, barbecued, or fried to give a crispy exterior or lightly cooked interior, or it's bite-sized marinated chicken pieces grilled on skewers. Like I said before, if you've been watching my Hannibal reviews here on YouTube, every episode is a different food dish, each and every one. How it applies to this episode or to this season, I'm still trying to piece that together in my mind. But this episode was a hot mess, and I'm all here for it. Episode 7, we got 6 episodes to go, so like I said, I'm here for it till May, till it ends. I'm going to be doing all these reviews just for you guys. For those of you who did not watch Season 1 and you're wondering who Miriam Lass is, to sum it up, she is the only person, in fact, she was the first person before Beverly Katz who saw Hannibal for who he was. However, we assumed in Season 1 she was dead. So at the end of Episode 5, we were completely surprised, like, this heifer is still alive here. But unfortunately, everything with Hannibal has a purpose, and he does everything for a reason. So there's a big reason why Miss Miriam Lass is alive, but I'll get to it and let's get started. They put Miriam Lass in an ambulance, and Jack Crawford gets in his car. They drive away. She's swabbed for evidence. They take some of her hair, some blood, fingernails, swab her mouth, everything. She listens to the message that she left to Jack on her cell phone, because on Twitter is hashtag Verizon wireless Lass or something. These hashtags on Twitter are crazy. That's why I'm telling you guys, keep up with Twitter while you're watching the next 6 episodes, because you'll see some craziness and some awesome hashtags, but I digress. She can't remember making that message. In fact, she's like sitting in the bathroom. She's showering. She doesn't have an arm. She has like a little stub, a la the Winter Soldier. Yes, I did see Captain America, a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I was like, I need to see another person with a bionic arm. She thanks Crawford for finding her. She knew that he would never stop looking for her, and she asked to see the Ripper, but of course we know they haven't found the Ripper. She doesn't remember talking to the Ripper. She doesn't remember finding. Somehow he got into her head. She dreams about drowning, smelling flowers, and this strange out-of-body experience of being awake and asleep. And this and that. She said that there was no fear and no pain, or the pain outweighed the fear. Something to that effect. So Crawford tries to apologize to her, I guess, for everything that happened. He told her that he was going to... From what Miriam explains, the Ripper told her he was going to take her arm. She could hear his voice, but she couldn't see his face. All she could see was light. And we learned that she was not spared. He was saving her for last. So I guess if Jack hadn't found her, she would have been the next beautiful artistic death that we've seen in a future episode. So we see Hannibal and Alana Bloom, aka, for all you shippers, Hannah Bloom. I see you guys. If you're not aware of that, look it up. Hannah Bloom, hot mess. But I'm here for you guys, though. But I don't like it. But I'm here for you. Alana Bloom drank the Kool-Aid. And basically she tells Hannibal that they found a witness, a survivor. Now, Hannibal knows it's Miriam Lass, obviously, because he left her there for them to find her. She was the only person that lived to tell. Alana Bloom knows that Hannibal's the prime suspect and she doesn't like it. And Hannibal knows that the Ripper can't ID, the witness can't ID the Ripper by sight. Now, how does he know that? See, if Alana hadn't gone to bed with Hannibal Lecter, she would know something funny is going on. Like, how does he know that she can't ID him? She didn't talk to Jack, she didn't talk to him, but Alana's drinking that Kool-Aid, laying up with Hannibal, having a grand old time doing God knows what. So, he gets out of his chair. He's walking up to the glass. He does something with his eyes and somehow intimidates her. she's just like, either he intimidated her at this point. I'm thinking he intimidated her, he drugged her, brainwashed her. All of a sudden she claims Hannibal's not the Ripper. No, it's not him. It's not him. I'm like, what did he do with his eyes to her? Like something crazy he did. So Chilton goes down, because we're back at the psychiatric hospital, and Chilton's watching Will dress, and he finds out that he tells him all the charges were dropped since he was in charge, obviously because the Ripper and Matthew Brown made sure of that one. I can't wait for Matt to pop up. He says that the Ripper has set you free. Chilton's afraid, and he's afraid of being linked into this. He's been talking about that since the last episode, that he's afraid. He confesses to bonding with Hannibal Lecter about their unorthodox methods. Will tells him, Gideon is dead. You're next. So Will talks to Dr. Chilton, and he tells him to tell Jack Crawford everything. Convince him like your life depends upon it. So in this instance of the part of the error, should I say in this part of the episode, Will is way above everybody. Will is ahead of the game. Everyone else is playing catch up, and poor Chilton. Good Lord. So Chilton is just not there yet, but he thinks he knows, but he's not there yet. So Jack Crawford comes to visit Will at his house. In fact, when Will's leaving, Crawford is there, talking about he's going to be his ride. He tells him that Miriam Lass is alive and that she's traumatized. He tells her that she thanked Jack for not giving up on her. And Jack said, well, I thought that Miriam was dead and you were crazy or guilty. And he gave up on trying for both, and he feels bad about it. And Will says, you didn't have to find me. He was like, you just had to listen to me. Exactly, Will. He did, but he was not. Jack isn't convinced by Miriam Lass's revelation. And Will doesn't believe it either. Like, Will's very skeptical, of course. And Jack takes Will to the house with the well where they found Miriam. Bear with me, guys. It's a whole lot, so I'm just letting you know now. The condemned house, the Ripper's little playground, I call it. And they go into a surgical room with a slab and tools, slides, where Bev's body was kept, blood. And even before that, Will's looking into this well with the water in it. So you see that the Ripper's tree victim is what Jack tells them that the water in the lungs of the tree victim, the guy that became the tree with the belladonna as the heart and all that stuff, he led them to this house. Will sees the well where Miriam was kept, and he makes a statement which I think is pretty badass. He says, catch a fish once and it gets away. A lot harder to get a second time. So we see the pendulum, because he's doing his thing and everything disappears. Will sees the room empty. Flowers start blooming. They're alive in the room. There's a tree man on display with the flowers. And Will is like holding this heart made of belladonna, and it just starts beating as it goes into him. He said, I sowed the seeds and watched them grow, cultivated. Long chain of events led to this. All of this has been my design. It's theater. So basically, Miriam was left there for not only Jack Crawford to find her, but she was there to watch all of this unfold. Will wants Jack Crawford the Chesapeake Ripper wants Jack Crawford to catch someone. But Will said that basically someone's going to get in fact, I'm messing myself up. Sorry, guys. The Chesapeake Ripper basically is going to set a trap to lure Jack Crawford's mind and his ideas about this case and turn it to the right towards somebody else, if you get where I'm going with this. And Will's telling him you can't trust any of this to be what it seems. So Will sees the bigger picture. Jack is still not listening, even after everything's in front of his face. Still not listening. Probably drinking the same Kool-Aid as Alana without the sex. So Will gets out of the car. He goes to his house. The dogs come running him. Here comes Alana, cold as ice. I don't know what her problem is. I don't know what Hannibal did to her. But when she finds out what Hannibal is, that'll be her last breath. So, and I've been right so far, guys. If you've been catching me, I've been right so far with the deaths and the things I've been saying. So, That'll be her last death. Has to be her last breath when she finally figures out that Hannibal is who he says he is. So, Alana has a new doggy. She named him Applesauce. She said the dogs are happy to see you. She said that she's picking up on his good habits, a la getting applesauce. Will says that the way you think I am isn't always a reliable guide to who I am. Alana's mad because Will tried to kill Hannibal and she sees the best in Hannibal. Of course she does, because she had sex with him. She's probably still having sex with this dude. What was done doesn't excuse what you did. Because Alana, is Hannibal safe? Now, you know Hannibal did something to her. She's more concerned with Hannibal being saved. Now, before Will was locked away, she was trying to get some with Will. I guess Hannibal was a better subject. Was a better way to go. And like I said, Hannibal must be pretty good in bed for this one to do a complete 180 this episode. I don't know what happened. So, Will said, from me or for you. So Will already knows that Alana's a lost cause. And basically, for me, Alana's changed a lot. Chilton wants to help. He tells Jack that he wants to help with the Ripper case. He's an opportunist, back to his old opportunist ways without the haterade, but he's still crazy Chilton from season 1. So he basically has an agenda, and Jack sees it. He says that everyone wants to believe that Will Graham is that what he said? Has an agenda. Basically, Chilton wants to ignore that. Basically, Chilton wants to protect his own ass, pretty much. And he's trying to do this whole thing with Will Graham, but Jack sees through and is like, you want to protect your own butt. Will is a witness to his own manipulation. And Chilton starts talking about what he did with Will and how he drew the memories that were buried out of Will and how he could do it with Miriam. And Jack was like, no, you're not doing that. I know Jack wishes he had let Chilton do it now after what happened at the end. But Miriam gets this prosthetic arm, Winter Soldier, without the metal and stuff. It's actually like an old-fashioned arm. It looks like something from the 60s or 70s. It doesn't look like the prosthetic arms that I've seen. You know, they give them to the vets and everything. It really doesn't, but I guess that was placed there for a reason. So Will meets Miriam last. He tells her his story about being with the Chesapeake Ripper and everything. Miriam last calls Jack the guru, so you already know that her mind is not all there. Will tells her he's piecing it all together, and he tells her about this thing that the Ripper used to do to him or Hannibal did to him with lights and seizure. I don't know if he exactly says it's Hannibal, but he says that he saw lights and it would induce a seizure, blackouts, and he would lose track of time. Ergo, what happened in season 1, for those who didn't watch season 1, Will just kept forgetting stuff and finding himself crazy places. So Miriam last call, like I said, she remembers it well. She remembers the deep voice chamber music, and she sees an outline, but she can't see the face. And Will reveals that Miriam and Will were part of his design, and he wanted them both to be free. And Miriam says, but we're not free. He's not done. So you see Hannibal grabbing a glass at his gorgeous refrigerator. God, that refrigerator is beautiful. And Will is in his house with a gun. In Hannibal's house, holding a gun. And he wants to pick up where they left off. So, spoiler alert for those who didn't see season 1, Jack burst in when Will was about to kill Hannibal. And that's how, I guess, Jack got Will and arrested Will and everything for this. Because I think Hannibal manipulated Jack and had him thinking that Will had done all this stuff and had everything pointed towards Will. So that's the reason why Will was even hospitalized at the mental hospital in the first place, because they assumed from the jump that Will had done it. Everything seemed to point to it. Hannibal was saying whatever he could, and he manipulated them. So Will just said, well, I'm just following the urges I kept down so long. See, I love that sass from him. Sassy. Will said, Hannibal says, killing me would make you feel self-righteous. He was like, how did Miriam find you? And then we'll ask, how did Miriam find you? Hannibal never answers. He talks about being falsely accused. He says, if I'm the Ripper, who will answer your questions? Don't you want to know how this ends? Hannibal's a cocky something. Whew. Lord. Hannibal is afraid for Will to pull the trigger. So even as Will goes up and he kind of clicks it, because I guess he still has the safety on the gun, Hannibal's face is like turned away. You can see the fear, like the fear in his eyes that he had when Matthew Brown had him in that makeshift crucifixion thing going on. Hannibal was scared to death. Some people don't see it, but I saw it. He's scared. So Miriam Lass is basically, she goes with Jack to Hannibal's office. She looks around and Hannibal says the key to a successful recovery is recognizing that life will never be the same. She sees these drawings and stuff. The same drawings that she saw in season 1 when she was trying to interrogate Hannibal. See, Brian Fuller thinks he's slick. Brian Fuller, you are not slick because I know what you're doing. You are trying to circle back around to remind us and to make the other people who did not see season 1 become abreast of this. But I see you, Brian Fuller. If you never see this video, I see you, dude. And Jack tells Miriam Lass about the phone message and he plays it for her. She listens to it, but she still doesn't remember. So Hannibal uses light therapy on her as he did before. Miriam wakes up. She's in the darkness. She's like speaking this out-of-body thing. She's scared. She sees Jack with knives sticking out of him. That right there is foreshadowing for what happens later in the episode. But apparently they found a fingerprint and it was Hannibal's. All of a sudden, the wheels start turning. They say, Gideon pointed Jack Crawford to Chilton. And Alana thinks that it's Chilton. So all of a sudden, Chilton's name comes popping up as the Ripper. So Chilton's in this gorgeous house. Oh my God, these houses on Hannibal. Dear Lord, between Will's old, beautiful country Victorian to these, love these houses, everything about it. Sorry guys, I'm gushing over the architecture, but he hears this beeping and I immediately hear it as a heart monitor. So he's in the basement. All of a sudden he hears this flatlining. And he opens up the door and sees Gideon laying dead, all sliced up and by blood bags with tubes and these things on his chest, the EKG thingies on his chest, and I'm looking like, what the hell just happened? Who put that there? So Chilton runs upstairs. He dropped his cane, which I guess Hannibal probably figured out he dropped his cane. He was going to do it anyway. Drops his cane, runs up the stairs, falls over some bags. I'm like, oh my God. We see Hannibal standing over him in that plastic suit that he wore in the beginning of the season when he killed the Muro, when he was basically engaging and he killed the Muro killer. I also think for some reason I'm kind of iffy about Gillian. I hope Gillian Anderson's character, Bedelia Dumer, I hope she's all right. Because when he was in her office in that plastic, I got freaked out. So hopefully she's all right. Maybe it's me before I finish. I may be on left field, but call me crazy because I've pretty much been right about most of the things I've said. But I wonder, did Beverly see Bedelia's dead body hanging in Hannibal's basement, and that's why she freaked out? Just saying, guys. Conspiracy theory Sage Valentine here, but could be. Unless she pops up, because she's on crisis now, but unless Gillian Anderson pops up, hey. So Hannibal's wearing that plastic suit. He grabs Chilton because they hear the knocking, and he's like, just a minute. He puts this rag with chloroform over Chilton's mouth. And Chilton, as he's like, he breathes it in, and then Hannibal lets him go, and he goes to answer the door in his plastic suit. My mom comes rushing in the room, and she's like, Hannibal's a smug SOB. I said, Mom. She's been on point completely with all these things. Dude, you guys should have been there when she was with me with Captain America. But anyway, she picked up on stuff I didn't even pick up. I'm like, damn, Mom. So Chilton wakes up. with blood all on his shirt. Call me crazy, but it looked like Hannibal had changed his clothes. Unless I wasn't looking correctly, it did look like he had changed his clothes. Maybe I'm just being off. There's blood spilled all on the floor, I guess, from the blood bags, leading all the way from the living room through this gorgeous dining room. We didn't even get to see it, into this beautiful kitchen. You see one FBI agent sitting up there on a countertop with his intestines hanging out. Then you see another one laying there with sticking knives and surgical scissors and everything sharp possible, just sticking out of his body like this, just laying across another countertop. Chilton runs off and he goes to see Will, which is funny because Chilton was leading the charge against Will being the killer. So funny how things circle around. Brian Fuller, I see you. I'm sorry, guys. I see you, Brian Fuller. If you don't see my video, fine, but I see you. I know what you're doing. You are circling back around, getting people together because there's going to be some craziness next week. But anyway, Jack goes into Chilton's house. The other FBI agent, scientist dudes find medical books. Just so happened that Chilton had all these medical books. And he had access to the case files. He was in the middle of the case. He knew about the Chesapeake Ripper, all this stuff. Doesn't anybody see there's something funny with this? Chilton knows he's a suspect. He's Hannibal's patsy. Will tells him, if you run, you look guilty. He was like, dude, I have corpses in my house. He said, all you did was puke up an ear. I was like, Chilton and his sassiness. That's the Chilton I missed. I missed that Chilton so much. So Will tells him, I'm going to prove that Hannibal is guilty. So they hear a car coming up. Chilton pulls out this gun because he notices that Jack is pulling up because Will called Jack. I'm like, well, Chilton, honey bear, karma, sweetie, karma. And Jack is pissed when Will goes outside. He's like, don't go inside. He's like, where is he? Where is he? Jack still doesn't see that Hannibal set this up. But anyway, because he notices that Jack Crawford is outside. So Will's outside. Will tells him, calm down. I'm going to go outside and see what's going to happen. He warns Jack that Chilton has a gun, and Jack is like, where is he? I want him. I'm just like, Jack, you don't see this stuff. You don't see what's going on. Like, Jack, what are you doing? Seriously. So Jack, I guess, pushes past Will, goes in the house, and Chilton takes off running like the fool that he is. And he falls. And he, kind of falls down. And then he ends up in the trench. He can't run, so Jack got him. So now, Chilton, he basically surrenders. They take him in. They take all of his stuff, put it all into evidence. And he's kind of in this orange jumpsuit now, as opposed to the green jumpsuit that Will had. So Chilton's just annoyed to even be talking to Alana. He's like, does it have to be you? He knows Alana's under the spell. She's guilty. She still thinks that Hannibal is not guilty. She's under that Kool-Aid. So he was like, will not see it until it is too late, he says to Alana. And all of a sudden he gets shot in the cheek by Miriam Lass, who's staring through the glass at the other side, because she fingers him as being the Chesapeake Ripper. And I'm like, damn, Hannibal, what did you do to her? Shot him right in the cheek. Poof. So Will is visiting Hannibal. And he decides that he has to deal with his feelings about him. And Hannibal says, grieve for what is lost. He was like, well, I've changed. And Hannibal tells him the friendship we had is over. The Chesapeake Ripper is over. That Miriam Lass was compelled to take Dr. Chilton's life to take her own back. So Will reveals he wants to resume therapy. Well, let the games begin, because as of next episode, the war is on, and the fight is on to get whatever they can on Hannibal to take him down. This episode was fantastico, and I loved it. And just a sidebar, Michael Pitt is going to play Gary Oldman's character from Gary Oldman was the rich dude in the Hannibal movie whose face was all messed up because I think Hannibal bit his nose off or bit his face off or something, just jacked up his face, and that's how they could fix it. He just looked like a Cabbage Patch doll talking, or a smiley face talking. So, and Hannibal fed him to the boars. He's going to play a young playboy, and they claim he's going to pop up around episode 8. Might pop up at the end of 7. I don't know. Could be. Well, Chilton is dead. And so is Gideon. So I told you guys Gideon was dead. So now you know. I never realized that I'd be this. I'm not even trying to be whatever. But I'm just saying, now you know. I never thought that, I was this much ahead of the game, I guess, by guessing, but I don't know, I just picked it up and figured it out, but we're in for it for the next 6 episodes, so buckle up and ride. And for those of you who did not watch season 1, now is the time to get on Netflix, Amazon, grab the DVD, go and get it from iTunes, something here, and catch yourselves up, because this episode was full of season 1 flashbacks and spoilers, and if you guys don't get this, you're going to be lost. I mean, you can do the cheating, but you got to see it yourself to see how Hannibal got well. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to this long review, because this is long-winded today because there's a hell of a lot to write. Still can't get over Chilton's dead, his hater self. Rest in peace for the hater. But anyway, definitely subscribe to my blog if you like this review. Check me out on Twitter at Sage Valentine, Blogger, I hope you can handle it, WordPress, The Truth Is, and Tumblr, 1000 Heartbeats. And definitely, if you like this video, thumbs up. And if you want more of this crazy, definitely subscribe. But ladies and gentlemen, next week's going to be a doozy, and I'm all here for it. So, this is Sage Valentine, aka Etherblade, signing off. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you guys for Believe. Bye, guys. Bye.